Welcome, welcome everyone. I am welcoming Kimberly Bepler today. She's going to be talking about her passion and who she's passionate about and who she's passionate for. So Kimberly, please take it away. Tell me who you are and what you do and how you got where you are.
Well, my heart is as a doula. It has been for 25 years when I took my first training and realized, oh my goodness, there's a role created for who I've always thought I could be, and you get paid for it. That sounds amazing. And ever since then, I just blossomed into like it becoming my whole world, other than my children and my marriage. It was, I call it my third baby. And I've been a doula for 25 years and then became a lactation consultant and an educator. And so all the things that people care about knowing, babies, breastfeeding, bonding, baby wearing, those are all my world. And for years I worked with families knowing that they would have this experience and expectation of their extended family, the grandparents, the people around them that would really become that village or that circle. And so many years as a doula, I didn't see it. I was like, where's the circle? Where's the village? Keeping in mind that I was also being hired to support them in the gap, right? Where their village might not have been. But I have just had so many experiences seeing people not get what they wanted from their postpartum. They're just disappointed and let down and not supported in maybe just even a dream view of what they were thinking. And I thought, I want to change that. And I want to change that in a big way. I want to change that for everyone that we can touch. I want them to have a positive postpartum experience. I want them to have that nurtured, cared for experience that we learn about in doula training, but then we wonder where it is in the world. And I thought, I want to create that. That's where I want to leave my mark in the world. And right now, I'm leaving that mark with grandparents because for 20 years, I've been training doulas and teaching other professionals how to do that work for new families. But I didn't I didn't really think about the percentage that we could impact. I guess when I started, I thought, oh, doulas will be everywhere and everyone will have one. And that really has changed, right? The numbers have grown considerably. But when you look at how many people give birth with a doula and without one, and how many people have postpartum with or without a doula, like it's still really small numbers. And I thought, who do all those people have? They have grandparents. They have extended family, people that already love them, who would do the same type of care for them if they were trained how. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to be a grandparent doula. That's what I'm going to do.
That's awesome. And so you have grandparents reaching out to you to learn how to support their daughters or daughter-in-laws and their husbands or their sons and sons-in-laws. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's taking a while to let them know what offerings are available, but I have an in-person class and grandparents usually come because their grown kids told them that they have to. So they come reluctantly, but they leave with joy. They
Oh,
leave with an investment and feeling like the most common comment I get is, I had no idea there was so much to know. Like I raised my kids, but I didn't know what I didn't know about babies. I didn't know what I didn't know about how breastfeeding has changed and how we view parenting and parental roles and boundaries. They just didn't know what they didn't know. They're smart, amazing, wise people, but they just raised their kids in an era of way less information, way less research, and they embrace it so quickly. That's been amazing. And I also have an online course that people can take if they're not in person where I am. And I have lots of resources and tools, worksheets and handouts and things that people can literally use as communication tools to talk to each other, to discuss things in a really peaceful, calm, gentle way versus some of that hard conflict that people don't always want to talk about with their family, but they really, really need to get those feelings and needs across. So that's kind of what the grandparent doula has become so far.
that's wonderful. And I bet every life that you touch in this way really does set that next generation up for success, right? Because I remember just even my own personal life and remembering what it was to have a grandmother in my life. And I know that families are so far separated from their intimate families, their close-knit families. But when they're available, when the parents, because they do come out, they fly out. They're like spending a week or 2 weeks and sometimes months, depending on what culture they're from, to support these families. But for myself as a doula, as well as a lactation consultant, I love to educate and teach the grandparents, like, hey, this is actually what it is today, and what you did before got you as far as you could get. But now we have more resources, more of an understanding of how the dynamics work and how to break it down to make it simple um, and attainable so that you can support the families the way they want to be supported. And I think what you're doing is amazing, because I'm a Nana, right? And even though I am in a professional role and I speak into lives like you do every single day, sometimes the expert family member isn't the one that's gonna get to speak into the lives, but it's the non-expert that gets those little tools that says, hey, and they learn little, talk points like, hey, if you want, I can help you. I'm available, instead of trying to tell them what to do or how to do it. Because frankly, we know that there's probably a 30-year or more gap between the last time they had a baby, right?
Yeah. And, I really see grandparents having the best of intentions and really wanting to help. I mean, I am surrounded by intelligent, wise, like amazing grandparents. They're so cool, such a cool population to work with. But they really don't understand what postpartum people need. They really haven't either done the work or even known about the research that surrounds postpartum women and what breastfeeding looks like. They got through it and they did it and woohoo. But we have the world at our fingertips, so they didn't have that information. And postpartum women, while they want this beautiful circle of support most of the time, they don't even know necessarily what they want or what they need. And they barely have the mental capacity to articulate it in the midst of this massive hormone shifts and sleeplessness and being so involved in what the baby wants and needs. For them to do the mental load of, here, grandparents, here's what you need, here's what I need, here's what will really help, they just don't want to do it. They want it already done. Like what I hear most often from families is, I just want my parents to know what to do and do it. I don't want to have to tell them, right? I don't want to have to take the role where I'm in charge and I tell them. And honestly, I don't even know. Like, could someone else just tell them? And that's where I feel like that's the gap I feel is, I just tell them, hey, this is what works, and here's what the research shows, and here's what we know about women, and here's what the hormones look like. And they're like, we had no idea the hormones would crash like that on day 3. I'm like, yeah. So it gives so much understanding and connection to the experience that women are having, that now they don't have to fill the gaps. They don't have to have their husband or the partner talk to their parents about, oh, well, here we have to protect her boundaries. The grandparents already know, oh, these are their lines, these are their boundaries, this is what works. And I just find that it facilitates peace. It facilitates more connection and more bonding to make more memories. And then when postpartum families have a better experience, grandparents end up getting to spend more time with them, which is what almost all of them want. And grandparents get like a trusting foundation that we start with. And then as we build that grandparenting relationship, we've started by nurturing our babies and letting them nurture their babies while being supported and um, bolstered by us. And I think grandparents, once they know that, they're like, let me do it, I'm ready. It's just a lot of times what they go in with their expectations don't actually meet what parents want.
Right. Well, that's so beautiful. I'm so glad that you're there and to help these families. And I look forward to having you on our next interview series, where we're going to be interviewing other practitioners that help support the breastfeeding family. Because I think not just the breastfeeding family, but even the postpartum family, and preparing them prenatally too. So whoever they are, wherever they're at, you have an opportunity to speak into their lives. And I just want to thank you for the time that you spoke today for this audience. And I look forward to hearing more and getting a deeper dive into what you are teaching. So Thank you so much, Kimberly. Any last words?
I'd love to say something amazingly wise, but what I would say is when we encourage new parents to be like responsive to their babies, like the most important thing I think is respond to them, right? That's how we know we've connected. I would say the same thing for grandparents. Respond. Like if you can know what your kids need and how they want to be loved and nurtured and you could respond, that's the beginning of a whole new beautiful experience.
Yes, it's a ripple effect. Excellent.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks for having
so
me.
much. All right, you have a great day.
Thank you.